Okay. An ice storm is a type of weather when cold rainfall comes down into the cold air and the water turned into ice. That first sentence is not quite grammatical. Um, I think that first sentence is no good. It should be an ice storm is a type of weather when cold rainfall comes down into the cold air and the water is turned into ice.
Mm.
Um, Also comes down to is strange. You would rather it'd be better to say when cold rain falls through cold air and the water is turned into ice.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm not surprised this is confusing because to say cold rainfall comes down into cold air is very awkward. Um, I mean you can kind of get the meaning, but um, and then I think if you wanted to use during in that first sentence, when during rainfall, um, yeah, no, it doesn't quite work. I think the idea here is that cold combines with more cold, and that's what makes ice.
Mhm.
So it's got to already be cold. Um, yeah.
So
It might need to be like a parenthetical clause, like when, comma, during rainfall,
when
comma,
comma, okay,
during
during rainfall.
rainfall, comma, um, water and cold air turn into ice. You might need to change the sentence
Mm.
to use that. You'd be sort of saying something about the circumstances where the rest of the sentence was happening. During rainfall, this is what happens.
Mhm.
But because the rain is the subject of this clause, um, it kind of doesn't work. We can modify that. We can say cold rain, cold rainfall. Um, so it kind of needs to be an adjective there, I think,
Mhm.
based on the structure of the rest of the sentence.
Mhm.
Once there were more than 16,000 households which had a blackout um, during an ice storm as the cable snapped with ice weighing on them. This is also somewhat awkward, the way that it's been written. I feel like the example, it might be an authentic example, but it's not maybe not the best example
It should
of
be
usage.
maybe is a snaps as or I don't know.
Yeah, so you would
Or
say
a snap, sorry.
you would have to say um I would say once uh during an ice storm, more than 16,000 households
Mm.
had a blackout as the cables. Yeah, there's nothing about which what type of cables had a blackout as electrical cables snapped from ice weighing on them, from
Mm.
the ice weighing on them. Yeah, it needs a rewrite.
Mm.
Um, but I guess the after versus during, that question, whether a blackout happens after a storm or during, um, the bla the idea of a blackout, that's when the power gets cut. So that usually happens during the event, but it continues after.
Mm.
So it doesn't usually happen that singular event of the blackout. What's confusing here is that we often talk about a blackout as both when the power is cut and that state of having the power cut.
Mhm.
So it's already a bit of a fuzzy noun that kind of means both. So it's more common to say we had a blackout during the storm than we had a blackout after the storm. If you were saying that it happened after the storm, your listener might wonder, was that was that from something else?
Mm.
Maybe our blackout came from a flood that happened after the storm. Yeah.
Great.